Welcome to Mingling with the Municipality. I'm Craig Momney, and as you know, once a month we'll sit down with local leaders talking about the issues that affect our community, and all the questions come from you via social media, Twitter, Facebook, what have you. And today's guest we have from the Wood Buffalo RCMP, Bob Couture. How you doing?
Good day. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Oh, we're going to get right into this with one of the first questions, probably the question you probably hear the most from anybody around here, and for that we're going to hit to a video right now.
How safe Fort McMurray is?
Is Fort McMurray safe?
Fort McMurray is a very, very safe community. Recently, we just completed a study with Professor Neil Boyd from Simon Fraser University. And as we know about the perceptions and optics about Fort McMurray being a horrible place, the articles in Maclean's magazine, and we used that study to basically prove that this is a safe community. We actually have a 47% decrease in crime within our community. I can say from what I see on a daily activity, from what the men and women from the detachment are doing on a daily basis, it's not a violent community. It's not a community where we have a high rate of property crime. It's, as a matter of fact, across the country, in comparison to other municipalities, our crime rate is very, very low. Ours is a safe community.
No, in terms of safe, if you had a daughter or son that's wanting to be in the RCMP, would you deter that or would you push them towards it?
Oh, absolutely. The career in policing with any police service within Canada is an excellent career, and I would advise anybody to seek out those opportunities.
I know I was one that actually tried to go for policing myself back in the day, but I ended up going to the journalism route. Again, with the safety, if you're at a party or a family function and somebody's doing something illegal, are you off-duty cop or do you have to do something about it?
Well, on a routine basis, our men and women are out in the community everywhere, and they're a citizen of this community. And sometimes you will see those, if you want to call them minor infractions, traffic infractions, someone doing something that is not in accordance with law. We don't expect the police officers to jump into action on those 24 bases type of thing. What we expect, though, is that if there is an active crime taking place, is that to be a good witness, like we expect any other citizen to be, and not to interfere in it. If it becomes a matter of life and death, from a police officer perspective, absolutely they have a duty to intervene in that situation.
Now, you talk about citizens intervening. Is there such thing as citizens arrest? And if so, how to properly do it?
Well, technically, there is, within the Criminal Code, Section 494, a section dealing with the right of citizens to arrest individuals. And again, technically that is there. But I can tell you that it's a very complex issue for someone to take custody of someone, depending upon the situation. And also, someone may put themselves at severe risk of harm and injury. Or the citizen intervening in that situation using an inappropriate amount of force to take that person in custody and then actually hurting that individual, which would not be in accordance with law. So the best thing and best advice is, again, that when those situations arise, is that my suggestion is that all citizens become a good witness, is to observe, record, and call the police. And the police become the source of intervention and investigation. And in addition to that, if a citizen did take someone into custody in those circumstances, they have an obligation to turn that person over as soon as practical to a police officer.
Now, this question is directly talking about police officers, and for that, we're going to hit to a video.
What do you think about stereotypes and police officers?
Well, that's always a very controversial issue to talk about. I put it this way here. The men and women that serve in the police forces across this country are Canadian citizens. They live within our community, their families in our community, and they're no different than any other citizen within our community. So that, police officers are stern and eat donuts and no, it's again, that's something, just a stereotype that's been given to it. Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, no shops are open and the police officers are out there working. And yeah, there may be a Starbucks or a donut shop. Yeah, guess what? They go and have a coffee like anybody else does. Any other citizen that's working 24 hours a day. So those stereotypes are again, not true. It's an inappropriate label that's placed on it. And how do you debunk those things? Well, again, you know, as long as many families have members that are police officers, and they soon learn is that those stereotypes are not appropriate.
I know we talked to another officer about the stereotypes as well, and he said, you see police officers at a donut shop, you have no idea where they were before, right? So that could be their way to cool down or
Absolutely.
talk with everybody, right? Now, when we put this out on Twitter that we were going to be talking with you, the head of the RCMP, it blew up with moving infractions, those type of questions. And the first one we got was from John. If the RCMP do specific campaigns targeting speeding, seatbelts, etc., are there any plans for one targeting commercial trucks?
Well, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago we had a commercial truck enforcement activity down in Conklin, down in the south. And we will have those type of special enforcement programs, whether it's down in Conklin, up in Janvey, in Fort McMurray, up in Fort Mackay. So we'll do those, the same thing as we do with the seatbelts, impaired driving focused operations. Absolutely, yes.
We're going to keep on rolling with the moving violation questions. For that one, we're going to head down to Mac Island.
Who controls where they do the speed traps?
Well, the idea is of enforcement activities, It's about education. It's about informing the public about the dangerous operation of motor vehicles or what may happen when things take place. And speed enforcement is focused on areas where we're having high collisions, where complaints have been called in by the public of people speeding. So that's where we focus those activities. We have automated traffic enforcement at intersections, and that automated traffic enforcement is focused on those intersections because of the high collision rates, to decrease the speed, decrease the accidents, and to prevent running of red lights. So there is a direction with that. It's just not, let's go out and do enforcement activity here. There's a rationale and reason why we're doing focused enforcement in that area.
Now, when it comes to speeding, how fast do you allow the driver to go above the speed limit before you pull them over?
Those are all, the speed limit, for example, is 50 kilometers. Above that, you're in violation of the TSA.
Right.
And that is totally within the officer's discretion on what the limits he sets on those type of enforcement activities. There's no directive saying above and below that. And one thing to take into consideration too is that odometers are plus or minus 2 or 3 kilometers. And the police officer has at his discretion to look at those things of some tolerance within that.
Now, also regarding the speed traps, Megan wants to know, at the beginning of each month and the end of each month, is there a quota that cops are given to ticket drivers?
Absolutely not. There's no such thing as a quota that we have here in Wood Buffalo. It's totally within the officer's discretion. My direction is that traffic safety is one of our important priorities, and all officers are directed to take enforcement and educational activities.
Now, moving on from speeding to gun control, Paul wants to know what the regulations are for air guns such as pellet guns and BB guns in the region municipality.
Within the region, the RMWB, there is a bylaw that speaks strictly to firearms. Within that bylaw, the definition of a pellet gun or a BB gun falls under a firearm. So the firing of a BB gun or pellet gun within the city of Fort McMurray is not allowed. It's in violation of that bylaw. Carrying a loaded BB gun or pellet gun within the city of Fort McMurray is again in violation of that bylaw. So you cannot discharge or carry a loaded BB gun or pellet gun within the city.
It's good to know. Now, keeping on the gun control, with all the shootings occurring in the United States at schools, is there any proactive methods that the RCMP has taken to prevent anything like this?
Oh, absolutely. This is this is a pattern or a trend that's occurring, and it's of huge concern to us. And we work very closely with all of our school districts in developing educational plans, preventative activities. And if one of these things was to occur within our community, we have a plan in place with the school districts to respond to them.
Now, we have a question at Shaw. We're citizens as well, obviously. On your way to Mac Island, there is a new intersection at the red light, are you able to turn right on the red light at that intersection?
I would, I'm trying to go, I've driven that
We
now
have no
too.
idea. It's like a, you can go straight. It's not a real turn. It looks like a straightaway.
I would have to look at the signage,
Right.
and in my mind, I'm thinking there is a no right-hand turn sign, a regulatory sign. And, you caught me back. I can't recall if there's a sign there. The only way in the TSA, if in Alberta, you can turn right on a red light. If there's a regulatory sign saying no turns on a red light, then that's enforceable of no turns.
Well, I know we get honked at a lot, so that's why I was kind of wondering about that one. But is there anything that you'd like the public to know about?
Well, you know, one thing that is a significant issue in the region, particularly in the city of Fort McMurray, is our constant parking problem. We have a huge amount of a population within the city. We have multiple family dwellings. We have basement suites, whether they be legal or illegal suites, and we have a constant problem with parking, particularly with large vehicles. And again, there's specific bylaws in dealing with parking situations, and we really would like to have the public engage in that conversation of what it is to illegally park a vehicle and have an understanding of what those requirements of that bylaw are. For example, with snow removal, when they put those signage up for no parking, the rationale is that we can allow the snow clearing to take place. People leave their vehicles parked on the street. We can't clear the snow off the street. We can't clear the snow off the street. The citizens can't move. And more importantly is that your emergency services, whether it be the regional emergency services or the RCMP, can't respond to people that may be in crisis. And we see this on a daily basis is that well, if you want to use the term, the disregard for the bylaw, I'll just park my vehicle and let somebody else worry about it. And then vice versa, then when the parking infraction is issued, then the citizen complains, well, why did I get a ticket? So, you know, it's an educational thing, and it's a huge issue in our municipality.
Now, keeping on the parking topic, at the mall, you see people parking outside the lines. Is that an infraction as well, or is that just guidelines?
Well, within the malls, it's a private area, and that's, for example, Peter Pond Mall.
Right.
That's within their mandate to enforce their parking regulations, and yeah, it is. I know I park down there, and there's a big truck parked across the line, and everybody's for parking. But that's for the mall to enforce those activities.
Thanks again for joining us, Bob. And thank you for watching Mingling with the Municipality. But we want your input on the next show. Tweet us at ShawTV FortMC with your ideas using the hashtag AskShawYMM. I'm Craig Momney, and thanks for watching.